Hey everybody, sorry I'm running a little late. Um, had a little bit of an incident run up I had to handle real fast. Gonna be drawing Two Face today. Give my camera a chance to catch up here. Give me a chance to get in the groove. This dude is one of my favorite mobster classic style villains. I love drawing this guy. Over the years, I've drawn him probably, I don't know, a few thousand times. He used to be my favorite Batman villain, but I have a couple in front of him now. But he still ranks up there in the top 10. He's pretty gnarly. I've just got him simple here so I could split the card and show both sides of his profile. I put him in a mugshot type scenario. So we have a really cool one going on there. You know, the scale measurements behind him, the slate board right here in front. Pretty cool. This one should go pretty quick because this guy is nothing but detail. And like I said, I've drawn him so many times. Um, this may be one of our shorter lives because of that. But, I mean, I don't know yet. I might fiddle around with them enough to where it lasts for a few minutes. Hopefully. I don't want to give you guys like 5 minutes of time and then go, hey, that's it. Later. But with the way this guy dresses, the classic suit and whatnot, he is always very, very easy for me to draw. Um, because he's so clean. He comes pre-built that way as a character, and it's just phenomenal to draw him. Because, for one thing, I've gotten really, really fast with these, and I've noticed that I talk a lot so that I can fill in some more time. But I've gotten so quick that I can knock these out pretty quick because that's the layout's done, the hard part's done. This is just the detailing and the fun part. But I got introduced to the modern version of Two-Face in the Nightfall series where he was prominent. I didn't really dig in too much in Hush. Most people like that version, and the most it's the most popular version. Of course, anything Jim Lee touches turns to gold 99% of the time in the popularity category. And for me, it's not like that. I go by what I am attracted to in comics. And Hush was great. Don't get me wrong. I've got them, all the books. I've got the trades. And I've even got the Batman anniversary series that's got it, got all the 4 or 5 books that are in there with the 2 Hush volumes. So don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the story, and I read it quite often, as a matter of fact. But where Harvey Dent was healed and all that, it didn't resonate with me very well. I didn't catch the groove that everybody was, falling into with it. It was just one of those deals where I was just like, really? It fell flat for me. So, especially when they're trying to say that he was Hush for a little while, and all that mess, and it was just a really awkward situation. Of course, the New 52 jacked a lot of stuff up too, so, but not even going to go there. So trying to do some fine line scarring here and just not overwork it to where you can't tell what it is, but mark him up to where he looks just gruesome as all get out, which is the whole point. That's what he's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be where he's gruesome looking because of the fact that he was burned by acid um, in a courtroom back when it all started. And the funny thing is, that's one of the, where the Tommy Lee Jones, um, it was Batman and Robin, I think it was, um, Batman Forever, maybe, where Tommy Lee Jones played Two-Face. They gave that origin story, and that was exactly how it happened in the comic books. That's one of the true origins for comic book films to translate from the book itself. And I found that just cool when I was a kid and, in my teens and whatnot, whenever that came out, it busted me up to no end because I was like, they stuck to the story. And they hadn't even done that many comic book films back then at that point, Um, The Crow had come out a couple years beforehand, and that was the cutting edge thing. And then Blade followed up a couple of years later, which really, really shook the market as a prominent comic book movie. And prior to that, nothing had been out except for like the Superman films from the 70s and 80s, which weren't, don't get me wrong, I love those films and I have them all on DVD. It's just they weren't prominent as far as cinematography goes. It wasn't true to form. It was more of the TV series on a bigger scale. The old classic 50s series with George Reeves on a larger scale. And we didn't get a lot of true comic book groove out of that. As close as Superman was in the film, it just didn't have that box office smash that a lot of later films have had. Of course, the effects are totally different now. And then you had things like, the Batman Begins series, and right in between there we had Superman Returns, which was supposed to be a Bryan Singer follow-up to the original Christopher Reeves films, and it didn't go off so well. It was okay for what it was, and if you were a classic Superman fan, which I am, it plays into those films very well, but it just didn't have the box office integrity that a lot of the other movies did. Hence why we got Man of Steel in this current universe version. So, it is what it is. But this guy, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, is very, very forgiving in the way you can draw him, because this isn't necessarily going to be the same way, because, whether you believe it or not, scars change. They heal, they change, they morph, they peel off, unfortunately, just not to get too gross with it, but that's the way human anatomy works. So where you may have scarred tissue for a long time, it may grow up and change direction, or morph or peel or whatever. And this guy's very forgiving with that. I mean, it's like Killer Croc and his scales. You don't have to draw them the exact same way everybody else does every time. It's just not going to happen unless he gives you the previous artist gives you a template to go from, and then you're still not going to draw it that way because your style will manifest. And I love seeing that. That's why we love seeing people draw different characters over the years, because that manifestation of this artist versus that artist, they tweak on it. That's why Jim Lee's popular with some people, and other artists like Neil Adams. That's my go-to Batman artist. I loved the work that dude did. When I was younger, I used to collect the older 70s and 80s Batman stuff that he did. And he's the one that redefines, not everybody gives him credit for it, but his Batman brought it back from where we had the mobsters, 50s Batman stuck And then you had, in that rut, and then you had the 60s come around, and the Batman spoof show came around and whatnot. And then when you got it back into the 70s, where he brought him back down to earth as urban and dark, like the detective we know, and got it back to the street version of Batman, he made him a lot darker. And to me, that's when the Dark Knight was born. I mean, I know a couple of other writers, creators, and artists and things played a lot into that as well, but I think that when Neil revamped it, it made it a whole new creature, literally. A lot of people argue that point, and I've had debates over that, but I mean, it's not everybody likes everybody's stuff, and they should, but he doesn't get credit for that. He doesn't get credit like he should for that. But DC actually brought him back in to revamp the Batman series and revitalize it, which I found that fascinating, because not many artists get those opportunities. But it is what it is. But that's my go-to Batman. I love the stuff that was revamped, and when you get the blue and gray suit, and you get the classic Batman style detective stories, that's the sweet spot for me. A lot of people like the modern stuff. Greg Capullo did a great job with him. I think that they got him back down to the detective version, but he's still not the same anymore. It's like Batman got weaker over the years. He's not as confident as a hero as he once was. And, that's part of why I don't read a lot of the modern stuff, because of that fact. The characters have changed so much. It's not, it doesn't hold my interest as much. Not that I'm knocking it by any means. It's just, it's not the same. I darkened that up a little bit too much, so. I don't want the tie going over the slate. That's weird. And that, kids, are what erasers are for. Gonna thicken that up just a little bit. Give it that lip. And this being a sketch card, of course, I'm not going to go in and level everything up perfectly. So we've got this slate going on to show that he's been arrested. And I'm going to pinstripe this side of the suit here, where we can get some color into it. Just very subtly, because of the way this fabric's folding, the suit won't have a matching legit pattern on the collar as it has on the collar and the lapel, as much as it has on the straight suit here, which will be down. You're going to run the pinstripes down? Yep. Vertical. And here we go. But you can't do that. You put them on. Yeah, I can. You'll find that it's very easy to go in and manipulate this stuff and do cool things with it, because a lot of people would be screaming, you can't have them go across here when they're going across there. No. This dude's a wacko. You never know what he's going to do. So you can put him whatever direction you want. Now in this one, I think I'm going to leave the suit white on the dent side. A lot of people like to reverse them and put the dark, leave the stripes white and give this a color, and then leave this color the stripes on this side and leave the rest of it white. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it open so that we can see Harvey across the board. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to go in and split this shirt. That way it can be one color on one side and it'll be white over here, or colored maybe a blue and navy blue kind of thing, and white over here to contrast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zigzag this tie, because he's known for wearing that zigzag tie where he goes in and has different colors and stuff on it and splits the suit. So what we're going to do Since this side's pinstriped, I'm going to put this side as a light tie, and I think I'm going to put it like neon green or something like that, and then I'll leave this side like a nice black or a navy color, that kind of thing. So I'll go ahead and shadow this in because that's going to be a dark shadowed um, color on that tie to contrast. So I'll go ahead and shade that bad boy in like that. Go ahead and right across that seam so it pops that color on the other side. And there we go, that's colored in. Now, we'll put in a little bit of shadow right here on the suit. Kind of soften that up a little bit because it is fabric, it's not like metal. A little contrast right there. And I'm going to leave the slate open. I'll letter it or color it gray or whatever a little bit later. I don't know how far I'm going to take it yet. Now up on the hairline, I'm going to go in right here and put in a little bit of a ridge break for the color because he has brown hair in most cases, brown or black, depending on the artist that gets a hold of him. And put in a little shadow right here to show a little more pop on that neck. I really dig this dude. He is crazy. We'll put this right at eye level. And then I'm going to put these, they're not exact either, and they don't have to be. Being a sketch card, they don't have to match up perfectly. So you want to get them as close as possible, but they don't have to be exact. In fact, I like them being off just a little bit. That way they have some contrast to them, and they look like they're like the segmented wall, maybe pieces of them put up there. Because if you see the old stuff, they used to pin these things up against this one room in the wall, you know, and they would have like sections where it would go across here, say a segment right here, and then it would go across this way and go right across here where you'd see the little line from the ridge of where they stuck them on the wall, kind of thing. So we've got that going, and then I'm going to put in this one. I'm going to put this one kind of deep here because of the fact that I want to make sure that it looks like it's got a lip to it, got a little bit of depth to it. And got to put in, here comes the gnarly part, got to put in the teeth, which his teeth are jacked up because of the acid. They're big. And a lot of people draw his teeth like perfect, but you shouldn't though, because he screamed when he got burned, and that's why all this got burned out, because he got it in his mouth. It burns part of it from that side, so the teeth would be jacked up from the acid a little bit too. So you can, you know, like curve them down just a little, like they've been worn maybe. Not necessarily jacking them up, but just curve them just a little bit to look like they've been damaged a little. And that'll bring a lot of that character out of that without having to stress it too much. Okay. Cool deal. We now have Two-Face. I'm going to leave it right there, except I am going to put in a little shadow right here for this collar. And the lapel. I don't want to leave that off, make it look funky, because he's got that big bright light on him for the camera. Those little effects count. Those little effects count. They really do. All right. a little shadow for the tie. And now we're going to leave him alone and call him Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. There you go, folks. All right, tomorrow, big heads up, tomorrow is going to be Batman. Thanks, Noel. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, tomorrow we have Batman. That's going to be a big one. I haven't decided on the layout yet. Just giving you guys a heads up. It'll be earlier in the day. I'm going to try and do it a little bit earlier than I normally would. But, yeah, it's going to be a big one. That is a landmark card for this set. Let's see what we have afterward. Let me grab my list here. After Batman, we have, we have the Riddler. I mentioned that yesterday. Okay, cool. So, got so much going on today. Sorry, guys. I'm hammering out page after page. I've done 3 pages today, believe it or not, and I'm working on a third one for another one for a student challenge and a sample. And this one is for Supergirl. She's going to be fighting some space aliens kind of thing, and just running on and working on the webcomic that's coming out. So I'm going to shut up now, get off here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. See you tomorrow for Batman. Take care.